Sold my house to awful people. This happened last year, but I just discovered this and felt like the perfect place to share. I, 36M, represented myself and sold my house last year to a young couple, mid-20s. The first interaction with their agent, who was a super high-volume top 1% in his email signature, was confrontational. I had advertised a flat fee to the buyer's agent, roughly 1% of the ask. He absolutely demanded that he be paid what he and his clients had agreed to at 2.5%. Dude, that's your problem. But what ended up happening was they offered over ask to finance their agent's commission difference. I was really feeling the red flag of whether I wanted to do this deal with this agent on the other side. But my wife and I agreed that a bird in the hand is the way to go, so we took the offer. We're talking about settlement dates, and I explained that I'm moving into new construction, and there could always be delays. Their agents said they totally understand, and that if we needed to extend, it wouldn't be a problem. Their rate lock was good for a few more months, and they weren't moving in until 3 weeks after the proposed closing, which was 1 week after my anticipated move date. Cool, okay, things are looking good. 1 week into the deal, and my builder calls and says an inspection failed, and they're going to lose time fixing it and getting re-inspected. He said it may delay other trades that were scheduled to come after and now have to reschedule even further out. I call the agent and say, hey, it happened. We've got a delay. It may eat up that whole week buffer that we have to closing. Can we extend an extra 5 to 7 days like we talked about? Dude says, oh yeah, shouldn't be a problem. He texts me the next day, saying they want to do a rent back instead of an extension at their daily mortgage payment rate, plus $50 per day. They also want a security deposit with a laundry list of cosmetic imperfections listed that are not required to do in a sales contract, as is. Things like all the picture frame holes mudded, sanded, and painted. Or refinishing flooring that may have been scratched by couches or other furniture that they can't see past. A few other things I can't remember, but I know they can't ask for. He sent it in such a way that it was obvious they were already planning on spending the deposit and saw this as golden opportunity for free renovations. They had language in the agreement that was sent that said something to the effect of, seller agrees to pay for any repairs of defects in excess of the deposit at buyer's discretion for first 30 days. My jaw hit the floor. Like that. Here's where it gets more screwed up. This next part takes place over the next 2-ish weeks. I counter them with a $250 deposit held by a title company, and the crazy clause goes away. They stayed firm. I explained to them that if they simply extend the closing date, they don't have to pay their daily mortgage rate, while they already wouldn't be living there for 3 weeks, and neither would I. Win-win, and we can avoid all this drama over a deposit. They stayed firm. I countered again with $500 and the clause goes away. They stayed firm. A good friend of mine is an attorney, and I called him up. He said these people are trying to bend you over and f you. What they're asking for is not at all allowed, but they see it as too low of dollar amount for me to sue over. It would be cheaper to pay their ransom than the attorney's fees to pursue a case. He said first to throw out a Hail Mary with all the big guns on and simple extension, and if that doesn't work to move out by the original closing date and to a hotel. It'll cost the same, but we won't be talking about depositions a year from now. That always stuck with me. So I put in an email to the agent that their clients were, respectfully, being unreasonable, and that my family of 2 kids under 5 and my very pregnant wife would be effectively homeless if we closed on the original closing date. They stayed firm, said that their rent-back offer could prevent that. It was unreal. My wife and I committed to getting out with less than a week left to closing. We got movers and storage scheduled and figured it out and started packing. Here's where the sweet petty revenge happens. I read through the contract very carefully and determined what conditions can be left at an absolute minimum without repercussions. The house had a very nice yard. I bought a 10,000 pack of dandelion seeds and spread them all over the yard and garden beds. The living room had surround sound speakers. I was planning on leaving them. Instead, I packed them up and took the labeling off all the wire ends for which corner they connect to. I also trimmed a lot of the slack out of them, not unusable, but definitely mildly infuriating. I had 4 mounted TVs in the house. I was planning on leaving the mounts and everything. Instead, I took all the mounts, removed all the HDMI and optical cables from the walls, and I removed all the anchors where the mounts were, so there were lots of unusable holes, since they were so worried about them, mwahaha. The house had an extensive networking setup with 4 wireless access points, 3 switches, media server, and some security equipment. I was planning on leaving all of it along with a nice guide and showing them how it all works. Instead, I packed all of it up and flexed out the tabs on every single one of the Ethernet cables to the point that the next time they're touched, they'll snap. There was a couple other things too, but I can't remember, it's been too long. Thanks for letting me share my story.